Yep, it just popped up here in an ad.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.
All right, guys, welcome in. It is time for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. Of course, it is powered by WagerTalk.com. Loaded card in the association, but we've got you covered on 4 games, and those 4 games will include the Miami Heat, along with the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to talk Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, some Brooklyn Nets, a little injury information coming out of there. We'll tell you about Indiana Pacers, as well as the Sacramento Kings and the Washington Wizards. And as usual, guys, we are going to deliver this knowledge with 3 of the absolute best there is to offer at Wager Talk and Sports Memo. Our good friend Teddy Covers back in action here tonight. As is, look at that, Brian Leonard found his way back home. Here he is tonight. And, Brian's on the show because he heard Tony Finn is on the show. And Brian just loves ripping Tony Finn. So this is going to be a fantastic. You guys are in store for a great episode here today. A moneymaker of sorts, if you will. And Teddy, let me start with you, my friend. I know on the show yesterday, one of your best bets there, the Miami Heat, they took care of business, but it wasn't a Miami bet. It was a fade on the Cleveland Cavs. Turns out to be extremely profitable, my friend. What do you got going tonight?
Just a single best bet in the NBA for this evening. It's not one of the games we're going to talk about. It is a game where I think the dog is live to win straight up, so you can get that play as well as college hoops right now at WagerTalk or SportsMemo.com.
All right, very good. And let me ask Brian Leonard, of course, coming to us directly via, I believe he's in Florida these days. But Brian, talk to us, my man. How was your day last night at WagerTalk.com? And more importantly, what do you got going tonight at WagerTalk?
I do want to point out, Teddy, off that big win yesterday, he faded Cleveland in that game. And since Cleveland is an underdog today, I've just narrowed the card.
Oh, God, it's getting tough.
He comes back with Cleveland tonight. I'm going to be so embarrassed. I ended up doing okay yesterday. I had 2 hockey games, split them out. But tonight I've got 1 hockey and I've got 1 play in the NIT. Nothing in the NBA tonight, and that's probably a good thing because the last NBA game I released was the famed Cleveland Cavaliers, and I believe they lost by 30.
Yeah, that's a good point there. That's true. But listen, guys, I also have a code coming up for you for those that want to dive into March Madness. Great opportunity for you to grab an all-access package. I'll share with you in just a second. But Tony Finn, my man, welcome back. It's good to see you. Glad you are here today, man, because a couple of the games on the board. Looking very forward to fading what you got to say. So tell me, what's going on at WagerTalk.com with you, my friend?
I have 3 NBA tonight. I've actually I swept the Monday NBA card, swept last night's NBA card. So we'll push the envelope. We got 3 of them tonight. There's 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, and I have a big college play coming out of the NBA NIT. I like this game a lot, and you get my full detailed analysis inside my play only at WagerTalk.com.
And when he says detailed, whew, man, it's telling you right now, it's like a novel reading those breakdowns. They are, a man leaves no stone unturned, Tony Finn. Love it. Let's give out that code, though, real quick. Those of you guys, basketball fans, March Madness, obviously, the opportunity to go with Teddy Covers, Brian Leonard, Tony Finn for March Madness craziness. Use that code MM50, guys. That'll get you $50 off an all-access package. Never miss a college basketball March Madness play now through the national championship. Go ahead and use it right now. Brian, Tony, Teddy, MM50, guys, take advantage of that. Let's start with our contrarian game and play of the day, guys. And, of course, last night we had OKC on our minds. Turned out to be the Chicago Bulls, just a little too much for them. But we're going to turn our attention because the market is pointing towards the Miami Heat, getting 2, even 2.5 in 1 or 2 places now, after opening up as a 2.5-point favorite against Memphis on the road. And boy, oh boy, that changed quickly after it opened up, Teddy. Seems to be an awful lot of love Memphis's way. Now, Jimmy Butler seems to be questionable, but Bam's active, Tyler Hero's active. What gives from 2.5 one way to 2 the other way? That's a big swing. Do you agree with the market move, or do you think there's some value there with this Miami Heat squad?
So it has not been officially announced yet, though I'm seeing Jimmy Butler listed as questionable for tonight. I don't know if you watched the game last night. If you did, you watched Butler roll his ankle, and they were worried about it. And they were worried about the effects after the game. The markets are telling us Jimmy Butler's not going to play. Clearly, when you talk about a 4-point move towards Memphis, and certainly from a spot standpoint, it's a Memphis spot here. The Heat have won 5 in a row. They won last night. They won big last night. It's a fat and happy team, and the Grizz coming home after losing 3 in a row, including a blowout in their last outing at Phoenix. It's a Memphis spot. And with Butler out, you can understand all the Grizzlies' money. All that said, Miami's the better of these 2 teams. With or without Jimmy Butler, Heater pass for this better, but it's a pass. I'm not getting involved.
All right. And, Bri, how about it, my friend? It's obviously Miami took care of business. Cleveland Cavaliers last night. We talked about it. It's an interesting swing here with the Heat being a 2.5-point favorite to start, now being a 2-point underdog. Where do you see the value, if any, in this game?
Yeah, I think the value is on Miami. Teddy pointed it out that they were the better team. I did watch that game last night. They did whatever they wanted against Cleveland. Before the game, the coaching staff of the Cavaliers talked about ball movement. And the first 8 minutes of that game, Cleveland did exactly what the coaching staff wanted. And then just like most people who suffer from dementia, as it went on, they forgot what they were supposed to be doing, and they turned into the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game last night for Miami, they didn't put up a sweat in that entire game. You knew all along that Miami was going to win that. The players on the team knew who was going to win that game. So even though they did play yesterday and they are traveling here to Memphis, it's a situation where Miami's the better team. I prefer Miami here. And now that we're getting 2 points in a game that we had to lay 2.5, I think that's a little bit too much. He's a terrific player, but even if he doesn't play, they've got plenty of good players on this Miami Heat team.
Yeah, it's not like Miami has known what it's like to play without Jimmy Butler in the past, but it seems like a huge swing, Tony Finn, that a team with the quality players that Miami has, Bam is back healthy now, obviously a big part of it. Are you glad to take the 2 points, or do you agree with the market?
Well, last night when I released the play in this particular game right after the
He's
Miami
everywhere.
Cleveland game went final. So a long story short on this, I really liked Miami. I think everything added up to Miami being the play, but I assumed Butler was going to play. Not only that, I assumed Iggy was going to play. One of the things Miami does every time, and he's been active. Iggy's been active for 3 of the back-to-backs, the second legs. He goes from averaging 10 points in 10 minutes a game to about 25 minutes a game in that second leg of the back-to-back, and he averages 3 points. I liked the 221. I thought was a little bit too high, as you can see now. That number's dropping because a lot of it has to do with Butler, obviously. But what Miami does is this: they basically counter everything that Memphis does well. Memphis scores more points in the paint than any team in the league. Miami, only one team holds a team to less points in the paint than Miami. Memphis, they have a pedestrian fast break efficiency. However, they score more points in transition than any other team other than Philly. Who does a better job against transition attempts? Not many. Only one. Miami being that team. I like the under in this game. I still thought Miami was the play. I'm not convinced that Memphis is that much better without Butler. So while I'm passing on the side, for those listening, I did make a stab at the under 221, which is now, guys, And I'll ask Teddy because he knows all the totals. I believe it's like 218.5 now, probably. Teddy.
I'm pretty sure it's 203, Tony.
Oh, that's okay. I'll be over on that. Then just so everyone knows, I will be playing over that.
Okay, very good there. I'm so glad you mixed in a total to the actual contrarian side of it. That's good stuff, though. Right. Yes, Teddy, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, for those who are missing, I jumped all over Tony on Wager Talk today last week when he came on thinking he had a wrong total for a game, and in fact, I was just looking at the wrong line on the Wager Talk live odds screen. So I jumped all over Tony, and I was the one who was dead wrong. So that may well be the case for this one. Pretty sure that total's down to 198 now, Tony.
Yes, there you go, Tony. And he'll convince you that is true before it's all said and done. Look, throwing Lambeer elbows under the net right now, Tony Finn. All right, so that game, guys, Heat -2. Two more stats. I'll give you the Heat 5-1 against the number in their last 6 games, playing on 0 days rest here so far. They also have pretty much owned this team here, winning 5 of the last 6 between these two teams over the last couple of years. So Miami +2, the contrarian side here on the show. We're going to take a look at one of our featured matchups here tonight. And, well, if Embiid was playing, it'd be really awesome and kind of must-watch television, but he's not. But we still got the Bucks taking on the Sixers, who were able to get by those New York Knicks last night. +5 is what it opened up with in the market spot. I'm seeing 5.5 now. I'm also seeing the number come down a little bit, 235s in a number of places. So, Brian, let me come to you here, my friend. Coming off second night of a back-to-back, no Embiid, Milwaukee Bucks, in your opinion, is this number right where it should be, or is there some value one way or the other?
It has gone up about 0.5 point. Milwaukee's playing good ball, obviously. They only lost the one game, a home game against Denver, by 31 points over, I believe, the last 9. So they've won 9 out of 10. This is a big game against Philadelphia. These are two of the teams fighting it out for the East. As you mentioned, Embiid is out, and that's usually a really good showdown between the two big men on these teams. I like Milwaukee. This is a team that obviously has the talent for the regular season. We just haven't seen it as much in the playoffs. I think teams are able to make those adjustments when you play them more than 1 or 2 times in a row like you would during the regular season. Philadelphia's had some players step out this year that have done really well. It's just not the one-man team in a bid. I like some of the other guys from Philadelphia here. I think the line's slightly high. I lean Philadelphia here. It's not something that I'm overly involved with, but when a team is without your best player and you're playing a really good team,
Oh, we got a little frozenness over there, but we'll get him back. Yep, there we go. So was it, Brian, just to recap, was it a lean towards Philadelphia even without Embiid here?
Just a lean with Philadelphia. The line's about 1 point too high in my regard.
Oh, okay. All right, good stuff. And Tony, let me ask you here, my friend. We're going to learn a lot about this Philadelphia team. No Embiid, no rest, playing one of the top teams in the East. How do you think they do in this one?
Well, you guys, I'd like to hear some feedback on this, but how often are we going to see a team with the best record, or at least close to the best record in the NBA? 28-12. Are they not first place? 28-12, and they're now a 5-point home underdog because of Embiid. Does that make Embiid worth 8-10 points? Is that what the line would be if Embiid was playing? Does that make him worth 10 points? I say no. I say I don't know any player. There's no football player worth 10 points. Maybe Mahomes, maybe a quarterback, maybe a certain player, but I don't think Embiid's worth that many points. I think the value rests on Philly here. I'm not on this game. I'm not involved in the game, but I certainly would be taking the home dog here at 28-12, playing at home against a Milwaukee team that we all know is as schizophrenic and Jekyll and Hyde as any team in this league.
Yeah, Teddy, I'm looking at it here. This is just the 4th time all season Philadelphia has been a dog at home here in this spot. Do you agree with the number, or is there some value here?
Well, my number for the game is Milwaukee -1. So that tells you where I think the value is. And we talk about the Bucks. Brian thought, Milwaukee has won 9 of their last 10. Yes. OKC, Sacramento, Minnesota, New Orleans at their worst. They got Memphis by a point. They beat the Knicks on a bad day. They got the Wizards twice. It's not like the Bucks are beating good teams. They've been -6 or higher in 9 of the 10, -8 or higher in 8 of the 10. They're not -8 or higher tonight. And for me, that's the key number when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks. Go look at their season. Go back through every game from game 1 this season. When the Bucks are laying -8 or higher, they're fine. They're like Milwaukee last year. They're beating the bad teams. When the Bucks are actually playing a competitive game, -7.5 or lower, I got them 4-14 ATS this season. All right. They have not been good against the other good teams. They certainly haven't been beating them by margin. The Sixers won a game last night, and that was all grit, all right? They couldn't hit a shot down the stretch. It wasn't Philly playing A-level basketball. But Doc Rivers went 10 deep last night. Nobody played. I think Tobias Harris, the only guy that went more than 34 minutes. He went 38. So they're relatively fresh for the second of back-to-backs. It is absolutely a statement game for the home team. All right, not for the road team. The Bucks are the defending, they had the best record of the Eastern Conference last year and year before. It's the Sixers with something to prove without their guy. And the quotes coming out of Philly are, I understand Embiid's out. We're still coming to play. Sixers are passed for this better. We'll come back to this one when it comes to best bet time.
Love it. All right, good stuff there, guys. We got one more featured game we want to take a look at, and the market is all over the board with this one, given the fact that we just learned, I believe, Kyrie Irving not going to play here tonight for the Brooklyn Nets, taking on the Indiana Pacers, who are just not a good home team this year. 7-11 at home this year, even worse against the number, I believe, 6-12 against the number. So, Tony Finn, let me come to you here. It opened up at 3.5 for the Brooklyn Nets. It has since almost come to a pick 'em in some place here, in some books. How do you approach this game? No Kyrie, obviously no Blake Griffin yet, no Kevin Durant, but they still have everyone else. How do you like this team? And you're muted. That's good stuff. You want to unmute? You can unmute yourself.
I'm
great. There you go. Thank you. That's good. Yeah. Actually, I was going to mime you. That would have been really good. But go ahead.
I turned that off for a second. We'll go on that later. But here's a team, guys. Here's a team, Brooklyn, that I have not put my arms around and cuddled with, because I've been as wrong as many times I've been right with them. Indiana's another one of those teams. I think they've exceeded their skill set. I think they've played a little bit above what the perception of this team is. But I'm making an assumption that I know what the public perception is for Indiana. Here's the deal. Is this thing set up for the Pacers? I mean, they're a home dog. It's the third game with LeVert, so maybe he's conditioned a little better, at least got his wind to some degree. It's the third game of a road trip for Brooklyn, I believe. Everything seems to point to Indiana. I think even the number points to Indiana. When I looked at this number, I had to go do some double check on some injuries and such, and obviously not having Kyrie, not having maybe the best basketball player, at least the best basketball player over the last 5 years, it not named the King James, makes a difference. But I'm not on this game. But if I was going to be on this game, I still would be on Brooklyn, despite there's no Kyrie, and despite the fact that everything seems to be set up for Indiana to succeed tonight.
All right, good stuff. And Teddy, there's no way around it here. Indiana's just not living up to expectations in some places, not certainly at home here with the numbers. So talk to me about Brooklyn without Kyrie. Do you still trust them?
So I want to start talking about Indiana, because Indiana's no good. All right, and we've seen it now enough that it's not a scenario in which we're like, okay, this is a temporary thing. All right, the Pacers are going to get better. Say what you want about Nate McMillan and the Pacers' mediocrity in recent years. Nate McMillan's not playing defense. This team doesn't play a lick of D. And we saw it in Denver. In Denver the other night, they had that big win in Phoenix. And here's the Pacers, and they have LeVert back, and they have momentum, and let's see what Indiana can do. And they lead after 3, and then you get outscored 22-2 to open the fourth. And it's ball game, and, And that's the Pacers right now. They're a team that goes through lulls on both ends of the court on a consistent basis. And that's why they covered one of their last 9 ball games. So, no, I don't trust Indiana. The problem is, do we look at Brooklyn and say, all right, Harden alone is enough? Because when you talk about the supporting cast for the Nets, without Kyrie, without Durant, and post-Harden trade, the supporting cast, let's just call them somewhat limited. The first game of a 2-game road trip for Brooklyn, they're coming off back-to-back games in which they didn't cover as favorites and didn't really come that close to covering down the stretch as favorites. Here in a pick'em range, I do think Brooklyn's a better team, but am I realistically going to get to the window with them tonight? I'm not. It's a flat-out pass for this better.
Brian, how do you look? I mean, it's certainly against the better competition, too. The better teams. Indiana's just been not good. 1-9 against the number of their last 10 with the team against has a winning record. So how do you approach this game? Do you trust them enough, even how to pick them at home in this spot?
Well, first of all, I want to know why anytime I'm in person with Tony Finn, he never mutes himself in person. That's really valuable. He's got to be able to bring that when we go out for beers. But the last time these two teams played, if you remember, the Nets were on a 3-game losing streak. They just lost to Detroit. They were playing the second of a back-to-back, and they played Indiana, and they won that game 104-94. From a defensive standpoint, that was one of their better games of the season. Now, obviously, without Kyrie, it does make a difference. But if you follow Kyrie in his career, he's not a team-oriented player. When he leaves a team to go somewhere else, the rest of the players on that previous team do not cry because Kyrie's not there anymore. They get a chance to play more of a team basketball, and that's something the rest of the guys on the Nets definitely are something to look forward to here. And also to satisfy Teddy, the Nets have won, I believe, 13 out of 14 games, and that included beating Golden State, Phoenix, the Lakers, the Clippers, Dallas. They lost to Dallas, Boston. So they played some pretty good teams, and they've been able to beat them. So I want to clarify that before Teddy gets it right down my throat.
I'm satisfied. I'm very satisfied right now.
Keep in mind, Teddy mentioned LeVert. This is his first game against his former team. Now, it's not like a lot of guys, when they get traded, they get upset and everything in that regard. The only thing to be upset about is now he's probably going to be missing the playoffs or being on a team that just barely gets in, as opposed to being on the Nets who could win the championship. That's a concern. I would expect LeVert to have a really good game, but I just don't think you were right. Indiana has not played that well as of late. They have good quarters. They don't put forth the entire good game. So I would much rather have the Kyrie-less Nets here to win this game outright.
All right, good stuff there. And I don't know what to do here with this next game. We're going to take a look at our overtime matchup here, guys. And, of course, our overtime matchup is we're looking at a total. And I am shocked. I don't know there's a number high enough here, Teddy. I really don't know that they can come up with a number high enough. It opened up at 244. I'm seeing 247.5. That being, of course, the Kings and the Wizards here tonight. How high will it go? Teddy, you look at the 2 worst teams in the NBA, defensive teams rather, in the NBA. Is it over or not for you in this matchup?
247 is pretty freaking high. All right. It is. I mean, the last time they met, they got to 259. No muss, no fuss. But that total was 235.5. And 233.5 before that. And they went under 240 and under 236. And in fact, that was the only under they played since the only over that they played since 2017 was the last time these two teams met up. I am not going to get to the betting window telling anyone to bet an over 247 in an NBA game. I just can't. I mean, maybe we'll get there, Not yet. I'm not there. And look, both these two teams are sieves defensively. Absolute sieves. The Kings gave up 120 plus in 8 of their last 10. And Washington, just since the All-Star break, giving up 127, 127, 125, and 133. None of those games have gone into overtime. And, of course, the Wiz haven't won any of those games either, 3 of the 4 going over the total. Yeah, I mean, the total is where it should be. 247 is a little bit too high for me to get over. It's, again, I apologize to the viewing audience that I'm not giving as many bettable opinions as I like to give. I don't want the under.
Yeah.
It's a pass for me.
Can't imagine sweating this in the under here, Brian Leonard. I just can't. I'm even looking at the first half numbers, 125, 126. So is it just over across the board, first half full game? How would you approach it, Brian?
You know, I saw the 147 or the 247. I thought they were replaying the All-Star game. You take a look at the last 16 games that Sacramento has played. 14 of those 16, they allowed 118 points or more. The only teams that they slowed down, I guess, a little bit offensively was Houston and Detroit, two teams that aren't really known for their offensive prowess. You take a look at the Sacramento team. They're in the middle of a road trip, third game out of 6 away. Got Boston, Philadelphia, and then finally get a break with Cleveland coming up. It is a game that they can win. The line's telling you that. But I don't want to be playing the over here in this game. It could be just one of those games where the guys just get out and have a good time. But both teams are hungry for victory. As Washington has lost 4 straight, 6 out of 7. Usually when you have two teams that are dying for a win, points are the last thing that I'm looking for. I would look for this game to go under that inflated total.
All right. It is certainly, Tony Finn, a high number. And to Brian's point, Sacramento's a great over team, but they're just 9-9 when it comes to the over-under on the road this year. So they do most of their damage at home. What do you think at this spot here in Washington?
Well, the Washington's no. I mean, they're perceived as being this offensive juggernaut with Beasley having a career year and not, as Teddy mentioned, not playing defense, creates more offense and a lot more. In Washington's case, my adjusted number for them or at least points per game, is about 3 less than what they average, is 114. Because there's a lot of garbage points in their games, whether they're ahead by a bunch or whether they're behind by a bunch. So that said, no Bagley tonight too, guys. And I really haven't made an assessment on whether this is going to make Sacramento better offensively or it's going to make them less offensively. I mean, he's improved. He's about 14 points a game in January, 15.5 in February. But his replacement, which I'm going to assume most of the minutes are going to go to Whiteside, he's not going to be scoring a bunch of points. He's basically not going to be scoring a bunch of points for Sacramento and making a total look low. 247 is too high for me. I agree with these guys. If I'm playing this game, it's going to be the south side of the number. Almost everything has to go right to go over 247.
244 is an open, but all the way up to 247.5, guys, and we'll keep an eye on it. It'll be interesting to see what happens at tip-off on that one. All right, before we get to our buzzer beater best bets here, guys, do want to remind you, of course, best bets are locked and loaded right now. Teddy told you he's got a play up ready at sportsmemo.com or WagerTalk.com. Brian Leonard, locked and loaded, ready to go here today. Fantastic in the NHL is what he's been all season long. And, of course, Tony Finn, ready to go. All can be gotten at WagerTalk.com. So, Teddy, I need you to run point. I'm always putting the ball in the hands of the guy I can trust. I can trust you to start it off. 60 seconds on the clock. I know I'm either getting total brick or nothing but net here from you. So we are ready to rock and roll. 60 seconds on the clock. Do what you may. Just give us that best bet, my friend. What do you got tonight?
I'm going way over 60 right now. And I was just reading about Sean Bradley. The former NBA lottery pick who unfortunately was paralyzed in a bicycling accident in St. George, Utah, which is, well, it's not a suburb of Las Vegas, but it's not that far from right here in Sin City. So wishing Sean Bradley a good recovery. I'm going to talk about a game that we mentioned earlier in the show, and that, of course, being Philadelphia and Milwaukee. And I want to give that stat one more time. All right. When the Bucks step up in class, and the way we're calling it stepping up, meaning the point spread is -8 or lower. I think they've been a dog once or twice this year, and they've been -8 in another 16 games or so. Every other game, they've been -8.5 or higher, where they've been fine ATS. But at -8 or lower, Milwaukee 4-14 against the number. They're not laying 8 tonight. Give me the Sixers.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You see that, guys? That is nothing but net. That's a thing of beauty. Look at you. You're even getting a golf clap from Tony Finn, damn it. Very nice. Very excellent there. All right. Nothing but net for Teddy. All right, Brian, you're up, my man. The man in the middle here. Talk to us. 60 seconds on the clock. Where are you going tonight?
I like to be brief in my analysis because I know Tony Finn is coming up next, and
I get his extra time.
To him is he's going to try to dribble out the clock. I do want to talk about baseball seasons right around the corner.
Yep.
Number one in profit, Major League Baseball, the last 4 years over at Wager Talk, and we've got a special going right now with Dwayne Bryant, who has been number one the last couple of years in totals. And I don't do a lot of totals, so you get the best of both worlds right now. Check out that new package. Get both of our plays for the entire season at a discounted price. I'm going to talk about the game we just spoke about, Sacramento and Washington. I'm going to take the Washington Wizards here. Sacramento 1-7 their last 8 games on the road. I talked about Washington losing 4 straight at home. Those losses were to Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and on deck they've got Utah and Brooklyn. So Brooklyn's going to be on the road. So this is a must-win game. Give me Washington minus the points.
Oh, man, can you tell? That's experience right there. That is back-to-back threes, guys. And now, of course, we've got Tony Finn. But I do want to also mention there that not only does Brian like the game, so do our friends from the Gold Sheet. The Gold Sheet play of the day also backing the Washington Wizards, laying 2. They've got it as a predicted score of 130 to 116, and you can get this entire write-up by visiting our Twitter page at WagerTalk. That will go ahead and the entire write-up will be there. There's always some great information there from our friends at the Gold Sheet. All right, Finn, are you ready? All right, we gave you enough time here. We're down 2. We need a big bucket. Let's go. Don't let us down. 60 seconds on the clock. Hold your hat. Here we go, man. Where are you going?
I'm going to shoot with one eye closed from distance. We're going to go to Charlotte, visiting Denver at the formerly the Pepsi Center. And here's the deal. I was fortuitous as could be. I had Charlotte a couple nights ago, minus a small number, hosting Sacramento. Sacramento led that game. I believe it was 45 of the 48 minutes. It was similar to the game they had in California, where Charlotte found a way to win with very little time left on the clock. This is a Charlotte team that comes in winning 4 straight against a Denver team that has an elite offense. They really do, even when they're not completely healthy. Charlotte's beaten 4 teams that couldn't beat me, Teddy, and the rest of the crew here. And Denver minus 6.5 may seem like a lot because of their injuries, but it's the Nuggets minus 6.5, a winner.
Oh, damn. Wait, no. Hold on. Go to the replay. Brian Leonard is waving it off. Oh, Finn, you screwed us.
This is the way you do it. This is what I'm going to do then, right here.
Oh, I can't. Well, now, listen, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, Tony, even though you got buzzed there at the end, you didn't make it. The good news is we got a rebound from our good friend John Ryan at sportsmemo.com, who also happens to have an angle of the day, and believe it or not, in agreement with you here. Home favorites of less than 10 points, coming off an ATS win where both teams are above 500. Well, that's 96-43 and 2 against the number. Good for almost 70% over the last 7 seasons, and that role right now fits tonight. Denver Nuggets over the Charlotte Hornets. Can you believe that? He agreed with you.
I'm going to double up then. If I lose, I'll just call John, have him pay me back.
Absolutely correct. You can find him at sportsmemo.com. Very good there. One more time, guys. Recap it for you here. Here are the plays we got. Teddy, 76ers. Take the 5.5 and run. Brian Leonard loves the Wizards, as do our friends from the Gold Sheet there, laying the 2. Tony Finn and John Ryan's angle from Sports Memo saying, Nuggets, take the Nuggets, lay the 6.5. And, of course, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys, as we continue to roll here on the NBA Tip-Off Show. Do not forget, Best Bets loaded tonight. All 3 of these gentlemen, but also March Madness fans. Right now, guys, take advantage. $50 off using that code MM50. That's MM50. That's $50 off an all-access package at WagerTalk.com. All 3 of these gentlemen, every March Madness play all yours. Get it right now, just $149. Use the code MM50 at checkout. So, Teddy Cover, it's always a pleasure, my man. Thank you for stopping by. Brian Leonard in the house, and of course, Tony Finn. I'm pretty sure his ankle bracelet only goes so far, but it's good seeing you there, Tony. Thank you very much, guys. Best of luck with your plays tonight. Make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. Best of luck, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Looking to get the edge when betting on the ponies? Get access to all of SIG's reports now through the Belmont Stakes for only $169. You will get approximately 5 sheets per week for the next 15 weeks at $75 $9 reports. That comes out to a $675 value if purchased daily, saving you $506, and you'll have total access to SIG sports racing selections through Derby prep season, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes.